One of the write-up by Greg Bishop, SI article, cover article this week on Drew Brees titled, Drew Brees is hiding in plain sight. Greg Bishop is a part of SI.com, senior writer over there, whose featured subjects have ranged from Ricky Williams to Adrian Peterson, Aaron Rodgers. Spent time as the Jets beat reporter, now up in Seattle, and spent some time as the Seahawks beat reporter for a while as well. He's kind enough to join us here on Off the Bench, ESPN New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Alexandria on this Wednesday morning. Greg, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing well. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm a flag football coach in that league, Football in America. Did you get an idea of the coaches on the other sideline, how intimidating it was to look across the field and seeing Brees coach the 11-year-olds?
You know, that was pretty much all I could think about, especially when I was watching the playoff games. You know, there was a point in time when his older group, the third and fourth graders, were playing another team that was beating them in the playoffs, and that game went to overtime. And there was a little quick dispute over the rules of overtime and how it worked. And I was trying to put myself in the shoes of the coach who was, you know, basically telling Brees that he thought he had the rules wrong. You know, here's the guy that not only did he start the league and he's the other coach, and you know, but he's also like this iconic figure in New Orleans sports history. And so I kept thinking, like, man, that guy should probably just give it up and do whatever he says. You know.
So my co-host, his father is Bobby Hebert, who's the father of the Houdat Nation, former New Orleans Saints quarterback. You have a piece in there on Brees about Bobby talking about putting a statue up of Drew over in Lee's Circle. That's the thing about the locals that they love about Brees, is that he fits in so well to the community and the culture. After the game against Washington, you detail him going over to Rock'n'Socky, which is right in the middle of the warehouse district in New Orleans, and probably not being messed with because everybody just understands that he's a part of the community. Did you get a feel on how much he means to South Louisiana and the city in general?
Yeah, a quick aside to start there. I profiled Bobby Hebert for the New York Times one time, so he's one of my all-time favorites.
Nice.
We spent a little time together over the years, and you know, talking to him and to the others, I did get a real good sense of, you know, here's a guy that's not just a popular athlete in New Orleans or, you know, one of the city's, you know, best ever, you know, athletes in terms of playing on the field. I mean, Drew is really involved in the community, whether it is the flag football stuff or his foundation or the number of businesses that he owns. And one of the reasons that I used guys like James Carville or Wendell Pierce or Archie Manning in the story was, I think people in New Orleans and people where you live have seen Brees and watched Brees and been familiar with sort of his greatness for a long time in a way that I think some people nationally are just sort of, you know, getting to understand the idea of, you know, this isn't just a great player. This might be the best quarterback in the history of the NFL. And, you know, here's a guy that's somebody we should look at in the same way as Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. And I think that that's typified not just by his play, but by his impact in this community and for this franchise that is known for, or was known a long time ago for, paper bags and the Aints and not being, you know, the dominant offensive force they've been for so many years now. And so, you know, that all I think plays back into Drew and how we look at him.
Well, yeah, Greg, was that profile on Mel Man? Was that back in 2009? Was that during the Super Bowl run? Yeah.
Yeah, we met actually at the casino.
I remember that now. Yes. Okay. Wow. Well, it's nice to talk to you again, man. The article is incredible. Like Drew said, the quotes are unbelievable. How much time do you spend with Brees for an article like that?
So this actually can be pretty interesting. You know, it starts with negotiations, and I remember I was in Minnesota for another story talking to Brees' manager about, you know, what they might be interested in doing, and they definitely wanted flag football to be an emphasis. You know, what we discussed initially was photo shoot, interview, and then the chance to watch him coach a practice and the chance to watch him coach these playoff games. So I ended up taking 2 trips to New Orleans. I got kind of lucky, I thought, in that the practice for the flag football also included this birthday party for his middle son, Bowen. And so I just kind of hung around, and he didn't kick me out afterward, and watched him, you know, hang out at the birthday party, cutting cake up. And I kept thinking to myself as I'm watching this, like, here's a guy who threw his 500th touchdown pass yesterday, and he's cutting this cake for all these kids who couldn't care less, and they're trying to go to the bouncy house. And, you know, it just very much typified the Brees experience for me. And then, you know, when I came back, I think we had maybe roughly an hour and a half to do the photo shoot and the interview. And then I watched him coach flag football playoff there were actually 7 games for his teams, which are all called the Boilermakers, and so that lasted quite a while. I believe he started coaching that day around 5:30, and I don't think we left the field until 10:30 or so.
Whoa,
There was a power outage that delayed it a little bit, and he was in shorts and a T-shirt in really cold weather, very much involved in the games up until the end. You know, the other parents were drinking beers, and I saw moms like pouring wine into cups, and the DJs blasting music, and Breeze was just in that binder the whole time, and there were probably
Dude,
40 plays in there, and he's just rifling through it like an offensive coordinator doing his best Sean Payton impersonation.
Did he look like when Breeze on the sideline when he's just studying the screens, or nowadays I guess they have video of the previous series? Was he locked in like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was like, it kind of reminded me of the Water Boy. You remember they had that famous playbook, and like, you know, it was like this holy grail. And
Yes.
I just couldn't. I never saw him really look up from the plays other than to instruct the kids. And this was the same weekend that Alabama and LSU were playing, and they were hosting the Rams, who at that point in time were, you know, maybe still are, but they were undefeated. And you know, I don't think he even was aware that this was all going on. He was so locked into these kids in this game, and his older team almost won this playoff game in overtime, and they ended up not being able to convert this extra point that would have won the game. And I saw his face after that moment, and it was like legitimately pain. You know, he did not seem happy to have lost this game, and he was able to flip it really quick and thank the kids and tell them they had a great season. But there was like an instant there where I was like, there's Drew Brees. You know, this is part of what makes him who he is.
Don't you reference in the story? You do reference in the story the last time he ran into LaDainian Tomlinson, he was like picking his brain on flag football formations because he wanted to be like he wanted to kind of be out in front for the next season. I mean, it's something that he always is thinking about. It kind of gives you the insight on who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was at the Pro Bowl this past January, and Tomlinson thought they were going to catch up and talk about, man, the Chargers never should have let you go. And instead it was like, okay, so if I motion this kid out of the backfield, you know, which way is the defender going to go with him? And I put in the story because I thought it was worth noting that, like, again, we're talking about first and second graders here, you know.
Well, and what I love, Greg, and we're talking to Greg Bishop, follow him at gregbishopsi.com. The article's making the rounds all around here. People are loving it. But what I love is you clearly put on display the hyper competitiveness of Breeze. And these stories that we're talking about, these are the type of anecdotes like I remember growing up, I always heard about Michael Jordan in the Monopoly game, right? That he makes them play through the night. These are the type of things that you hear about these deified sporting characters, but kind of like you touched on, Breeze isn't deified in that same way. He's kind of been viewed as this everyman, almost pigeonholed, you could say. What do you think it will take for Breeze to enter that next realm? When people start to accept that, no, this is a top 5, top 3, maybe even the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's something I asked Drew, and he basically said he doesn't really care. But I think what you'll look for is a second Super Bowl. To me, changes the narrative around him dramatically. And I think in some ways that's kind of unfair because this is an offense that changed the way that the NFL looks at offensive football. And the impact on that side of the game from Sean Payton and Drew Brees and their work together, I think is incredible and underappreciated. That said, if they win a second Super Bowl, it removes this idea that they've only won one. It's sort of everything they've been building towards since the first one is coming to fruition right in this moment. And I think the other thing, I was just talking to Jeff Duncan about this yesterday, but I think the other thing that would change the narrative a little bit is just time. You know, I think the further away we get from what they've done, the more we're going to say, wow, that was pretty special. You know, like I think you could make the argument that the Saints are to offensive football what the Patriots are to winning football games. You know, that they've done something for a long time, longer than you're supposed to, that is so incredibly hard to do. And that's like to be amazing every season and to do it in different ways and to adapt and change over time in a way that we credit the Patriots, but not necessarily the Saints. You know, here's a team that won throwing vertically. They've won throwing, you know, without a lot of depth. They've won with 2 running backs going over 1,500 yards. They're winning now with the quarterback that's sort of a gimmick player. I mean, this is adaptation. There are many players involved here that they made into stars, you know, that weren't before they think when we look back at this 20 years from now, we'll say, man, to do that for 15 seasons or 20 seasons, that was pretty incredible.
I mean, speaking of different ways to win, how about just last week throwing touchdowns to Keith Kirkwood, Tommy Lee Lewis, and then
Arnold.
Dan Arnold. Yeah.
4 undrafted guys.
4 undrafted. Crazy.
Yeah, I think T-Bob caught one,
Yeah. Hey, put me in a Saints uniform. I literally might be able, like goal line situation, I might be able to.
Bob's up in the press box leading all the cheers was great on social media as well.
Crazy.
How crazy is James Carville?
Oh, that was great. We went to Gino's
Yes,
in Baton
indeed.
Rouge.
Yes.
Had a nice,
Talking to
had a
boys.
nice dinner there. Before that, he had Jeff Duncan and I speak to his class, so stopped by LSU and talked to the students a little bit. And then my favorite part was he had agreed to do the interview, and he was really great for when we talked about Brees. But we spent most of dinner, as you guys can imagine, talking about that targeting call and what it might mean against Alabama.
No way, dude. He did have a quote, and I'll let you this, Greg, and I've had this conversation with national guys a few times this year, or just sports fans, I guess you could say, which is he talks about how Ted Williams never won a World Series, right? And who cares? Still Ted Williams. And especially in a sport like football, where it's the ultimate team sport, both on the field and in terms of the organization as a whole. The pieces are so interconnected. It's a weak link sport. It's not like basketball, where a great player really can't just change everything. Are championships kind of overvalued when we do these greatest of all time lists in football?
I think that's a fair sentiment, and I sort of look at it like, I think whatever you want to argue here, there are a lot of fair arguments.
Yeah.
So if we're going to argue that championships are the most important thing, then that's the argument for Brady, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad argument. But what I was trying to get across in the Brees story is that there is an argument for Brees that centers on something else, and it's no less fair or no less heroic what he's done just because he hasn't won them for the exact reasons that you just stated. He can't control the Saints defense every year. He can't control, the miracle in Minnesota. I mean, there are so many different things that factor into it that I think what we should do is appreciate that we're in this era where we can talk about Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and this next wave of guys coming up now that's pretty exciting. And we get to watch that every Sunday. And, to me, I think the difference is that people just sort of say, well, this guy has 5 rings, so he's the greatest, or this guy has the best arm, so he's the greatest. And why don't we just look at Drew Brees and say, this guy is the most accurate passer in NFL history. This guy has the best statistics in the best statistical era of quarterback play in NFL history. And if we're going to start making arguments about people and why they deserve this place in NFL history, why can't we make an argument for him too?
It's a fantastic read. SI.com. Drew Brees is hiding in plain sight. The author is Greg Bishop. He's been kind enough to spend some minutes here with us on Off the Bench in ESPN New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Alexandria. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
You got
Thanks
it.
so much, Greg.